I will talk about self-driving cars. At Volvo, we're convinced that self-driving cars will play a very important part of the future. Before we look at tomorrow, let's look at today. Today, we have a road transportation system that is not sustainable. We see more and more people start to live in urban areas. We see the megacities growing. And we see the associated problems with the road transportation systems in these megacities. It's problems with air pollution, it's problems with traffic safety. 1.2 million people get killed every single year on the road. We see problems with congestion, people that get stuck in traffic. It's obvious. Society has a road transportation system which is not sustainable. But it's also obvious that for each one of you, the road transportation system is far from ideal. It's fun to drive a car, but this is very often the reality. People get stuck in traffic, spending way too much time in traffic, and get frustrated that they cannot spend their time on the things that they want to do. And very often we see that the people start to play with their iPhones or play with the radio or maybe even browse the web. You can do that, but you cannot do this in a safe way. Distraction is one of the key contributors to many of the accidents. And even if it's not fatal in a traffic system as you see right now, small accidents here will just increase the congestion and will increase the overall problems. At Volvo Cars, we are convinced that self-driving cars will be part of the solution. Because self-driving cars can, at least in theory, be driven more safe. Because our research shows that almost all car accidents are caused by human error. If you automate the driving, you will take away the root cause of almost all accidents, and therefore traffic can be made safer. But self-driving technology can also improve the fuel efficiency, and it can help to avoid congestion. And why is that? Well, when you have robotic vehicles, and you have all the information that robotic vehicles collect, you can much better predict how you should drive from A to B. And you can really mathematically optimize the fuel consumption. And even if you have connected cars, you can drive slower and use the road space in a much more efficient way. So in theory, there's also a great potential in making the traffic system much more efficient than it is today. And last but not least, it is also a way to regain time. If you as a driver, you don't have to pay attention, then you can spend your time on something else. So instead of watching the traffic jam around you, you can write your emails, you can read your newspaper in a safe way. So self-driving cars are very, very important for Volvo. But then you may say, what's this? A guy from a car company talking about taking away the fun of driving? When you look at the car commercials of today, it's very often a nice car, open roads, and people are enjoying their driving. Are we not going to do this anymore in the future? Well, the car was a symbol of freedom when it started. This was 1927 when Volvo Cars was founded. The car was a symbol of freedom because once you got access to a car, it could take you from any A to any B at any point in time. That was the case in 1927, but we also think this will be the case tomorrow. It is fantastic that you have a form of transportation that you really can take from any A to any B. It's a really flexible system. It's just that we want to do it in a more efficient way. And we want to provide you the choice. It's still about freedom. Drive your car, enjoy your car when the possibility is there. When you have a car like this and the road is open. But then when you get stuck in traffic, press the button, spend your time in a better way. The choice is really yours. And that's the future that we foresee for the self-driving cars that we make at Volvo. And one very important part of that, why this is so important for Volvo, is that for us, it's very much about safety. Almost 10 years ago, we stated our vision 2020. And this vision said that by the year 2020, no one should be seriously injured or killed in a new Volvo vehicle. And we're developing this technology, passive safety, airbags, structure in the car, but also a lot of active safety technology. And we're making very good progress on reaching this vision. And we believe that in order to really get to the number zero fatalities on the roads, then automation is a crucial technology for achieving this. So that is why self-driving functionality is so important for Volvo Cars as a company and Volvo Car as a brand. But we also realize that it's very difficult to reach this future with self-driving cars. And we also realized that there will be different forms of automation. So what I showed, or what I talked about, was a car where you can choose to drive yourself or drive autonomously. But I'm pretty sure there will be other forms of automation as well. Maybe automated buses or automated taxis or driverless taxis. I think we see lots of different forms of transportation in the same way as we see it today. But for each of these forms of transportation, you have to find a feasible path to your end goal of building this technology and being able to deploy this safely on the market. And when we saw this coming for us, I think it was in 2013, we said, how do we do this? How do we get from a car that we have today that has to be driven manually towards a car that, at least in some circumstances, can be driven completely autonomously? It is quite a task. And we think the answer of reaching that target is through cooperation. Because self-driving is not about, or is not only about the technology. It is very much more. Self-driving cars, it's about human factors. It's about legal issues. It's about product liability issues. It is about how other road users react to a self-driving car. So it's so very multidisciplinary. And we don't think that we have all the answers. So we think that by joint effort and proper research, we can achieve this. And we do this jointly in a big program in Sweden called Drive Me, together with the Swedish government, the road authorities, the transportation authorities, the city of Gothenburg, academia, a big supplier of automotive tech, Autoliv. And together we believe we can address all these issues. And we also ask, okay, but if we start to do research, I mean, how do we know we have the right research questions? Where do we start and how do we do this? And then we thought that the only way to do this is actually learning by doing. So we said in 2013, let's have the ambition of build 100 self-driving cars, lease them to ordinary Volvo customers in Sweden, and let these people use these self-driving cars in daily life on a public road. If you put out that as an ambition, we would be pretty sure that we will meet all the challenges that you possibly could get. Because people will ask, okay, what technology would you need? What happens if there's an accident? Who gets fined when a self-driving car is driving too fast? How do other road users react? All these things will pop up when you have this as an ambition. And as I said, we started this in 2013, this initiative. And already next year, we intend to have the first generation of self-driving cars on the road. And it will be not engineers sitting there and doing a lot of tests. No, it will be ordinary people. They drive their kids to school, they go to the shopping mall, they go to the offices. But on certain roads, they will have the opportunity to actually let the car drive for itself. We will start in Gothenburg 2017. But I also can say that once we announce this program, we get loads of questions. It was like mayors and cities or countries from all over the world that said, we want to pilot like this as well. And we thought that's a good sign, but we don't have the bandwidth to serve all of them. But what we will do is that we will, in 2018, start with an initiative in London as well, and we will also do a test in China. And the reason for that is that we have to learn. I mean, this is all about learning. When a self-driving car can work safely and efficiently in Gothenburg in the Swedish traffic system, it doesn't necessarily mean that also it works automatically in the Chinese traffic system, because we know there are very different challenges there. And also the customer preferences from a Swedish customer or a British customer or a Chinese customer could be very different. So that's why we do some world explorations with pilots in China and in London. And just to give you a flavor of what this pilot looks like, here you see the map of Gothenburg, and this is the ring road of Gothenburg. What we will do is that we will lease these vehicles, as said, to ordinary customers. These people can drive their car manually, just as they do today. But once you get to one of these roads, which we've approved for self-driving, they will get the offer, do you want to drive autonomously? They can accept the offer, and then once the car drives autonomously, they can spend their time on something else. They can read the local newspaper, or they can do something else. And when you get to the end of the road, the car will inform you in time to take over. We selected these roads because these are highway-like environments. To be honest, we don't have a lot of problems with traffic jams in Sweden. It's a big country and only a few people. I mean, sometimes if we have to demonstrate our traffic jam assist, we have to create our own traffic jam first. But if there is a traffic jam in Gothenburg, it is on one of these roads. So from a customer perspective, it makes sense to be here. But also from a technology point of view, we think it makes sense because these are highways and we think it's the easiest place to start with because it's pretty well structured. And we will start this running, as said, in 2017, next year. But when we do this, safety will be at the core. I mean, we are not going to take any risk with these self-driving cars. We know that our customers are concerned, governments are concerned, but one of the key reasons we work on this is safety. And knowledge about safety is also very critical to be able to do this successfully. Proper research, focus on safety will make this happen. And just to illustrate on what we do, we actually do a very detailed safety benefit analysis. What we've done is we have looked at the roads that we have. We are analyzing all accidents that happen on these roads, the causes of these accidents, and we do a very detailed analysis to make sure that the self-driving car can deal with all exceptional situations that may occur on these roads. Everything that we can think of, the car has to be able to deal with it. Because we know, when a driver is sitting there reading a book, doing something else, he or she is not going to react. And it doesn't help to give a warning just 2 seconds prior to a potential collision. The driver is not going to react. I mean, some people will fall asleep. The car has to be able to deal with all thinkable situations. And knowing what all thinkable situations is pretty difficult, but it requires that kind of analysis to know what can happen on the road. And to make sure that you can detect all thinkable situations on the road, we equip the car with a lot of sensing technology. I mean, sometimes you see a discussion out there that says, oh, is it better to have LiDAR than radar or than cameras? I think you will need all of it. If you have to deal with everything that can potentially happen on the road, people crossing a highway, you can have, even in Gothenburg, you can have elks crossing a highway, things that can drop from a truck. I mean, what can people lose from a truck bat? It's potentially everything. I listen to the traffic news every morning. People, they lose so fast, they lose garbage, whatever you can buy somewhere, it will be left on the road. And many of those objects are dangerous to collide with, which means that the car has to detect it. And we know cameras are pretty good, radars are pretty good, LiDARs are pretty good, but there are objects that a LiDAR doesn't detect, but a radar does detect. There's objects that a camera does detect, but a radar maybe not so good. But if you combine these physically different principles of sensing in one car, we will be able to build a very, very robust system. So we will have radar, camera, LiDAR, 360 degree around the car. It will have a cloud connection, so the latest traffic information will be sent to the car, and it will have a high definition map to make sure that we can position the car very accurately on the road. Really exciting technology. But there's another side of this technology that you maybe do not read so much about in media, and it is making sure that the self-driving car doesn't become dangerous in case something goes wrong. Because don't forget, these cars are designed by humans, and we humans, we make mistakes. So if we have a software bug, or if we design a control unit that fails, or a battery that fails, we do not want a dangerous situation to occur. So we're building a car with full redundancy, 2 independent brake systems, 2 independent steering systems, 2 independent communication systems. Any fault may happen in the technology itself, but the car always needs to be able to bring itself to a safe stop, even with a fault in the car. This is a pretty significant impact in the way you design a car, but this is what we're actually doing right now. But once we've done that, once we have mastered the technology and we can say to our customers, now you can do something else behind the steering wheel, then the really interesting part is going to start. Because right now we design cars and roads for cars that are driven by humans. But what happens when you have robotic vehicles? Well, maybe the design of the car will change. Why would you sit straight and have your hands on the steering wheel? Maybe you want to lay down and relax, and you want to have a big screen to watch Netflix. Maybe you want to just be facing each other, the front and the rear passengers. I mean, completely new possibilities will open up. So it will affect car design quite significantly. But after that, I think it would also change the way we design roads. This is one of the key reasons that Swedish government is interested in participating in Drive Me. We can design roads in a more efficient way. We can use the space of the asphalt in a much more efficient way when we can pack the cars and we can control the traffic flows. And after that, when we can change the roads, we can even change the cities we live in. And I would like to illustrate you with a small film that we made on how it could change the center of the cities of the future.
Our city has grown up pretty much like all the other cities, and it constantly changes. We become more people, the city grows, we build houses, more roads and parking lots, more vehicles. But human beings also need space. So what would happen if we drive away the cars of today and start using autonomous cars instead? Autonomous cars don't need any signs, and autonomous cars need less space, enabling wider sidewalks. It creates more space for us humans. And autonomous cars can drive and park themselves somewhere else. Look at this commuter station. You will be picked up as soon as you leave the train, because autonomous cars know when you arrive. So this reduces waiting times, less pressure, less stress, and autonomous cars will take you all the way home. Look at this shopping mall. It's just a lot of parking lots. We would not need all of them anymore. We could do something funny. We could have a snowy mountain here. It could be a park instead, with an outdoor swimming pool and a cinema. This is a place to live in. So with autonomous cars, more space is created around the needs of people. Cities become nicer and more beautiful. Streets become safer, travel smoother, less noisy, more space for life. Well, it will be better.
So self-driving cars are going to be really important. It's a fascinating technology, but once we master this technology, we will not only change the cars and the road transportation system, but I think it will have a very significant impact on society. Thank you very much.